Right, folks, I'll just try and get this across to you. It might come across a bit vague, it might not, but I was brought up in Bedfordshire in a small village, and I'd never thought about the consequences of remaining ignorant or not investigating the way that governments and the way that people are controlling our society. I just never looked at it. I was so interested in wildlife and nature, I become the Grand Master of nature. I'd never studied philosophy, sociology, religion, and these were things that went above my head. But as I got older, I did. And I've realised now that our society is run by a legal system which is sworn to a democracy, whereby if somebody's charged with an offence, they have to go to a court and stand trial in front of a jury, and the jury decides whether they are guilty or innocent without any reasonable doubt. But the society that are enforcing these requirements is run on a premises of a God which is not provable without any doubt. You see, Westminster Christianity is run on a God that is very doubtful. There's no way that anybody can say that God exists without any reasonable doubt. Yet this God is judging people. You go into a dock and you're judged by a God whether or not you've committed a crime without any reasonable doubt, or whether not you have. But the God that they're trying to say is judging you is not provable beyond any reasonable doubt. So it's quite ridiculous, really. And the premises are just revolving around Bronze Age, Abrahamic faith, Christianity, Islam and Judaism, which is totally outdated. Scientific advance knows that this is not true. Yet people are going in there and their lives are being controlled. Their whole lives are being ruined by a premises that a God that doesn't exist conjoined to a king that really hasn't got the authority to be a king after stealing people's land and rule Britannia and the slave trade. The king is not really a credible figure to be swearing to. There's several societies of religious societies and organisations that are conjoined to our legal system. For instance, you've got the Freemason Society that are conjoined to our government. They are a scam under the guise of a charity that doesn't have to register as a charity, because they donate so much money to our foreign police and our government that they've got the connections to the royal family with Prince Philip and King Charles and paedophile Andrew. They've got such a connection that they don't have to register with the Charity Commission. So basically they're immune from paying tax and stuff on charity, which other organisations have to pay. Now, if you get... The only reason they can do it is because Westminster has allowed them to. They're going as a Christian society. The conditions of being part of this society are that you have to believe in an eternal creator and a life after death. So it's quite convenient that Keir Starmer being a member and other political leaders being members, Sunak, Farage is a member, and he says he's going to change Britain. And King Charlie, loads of people, Sadiq Khan, is now saying, because Nick Hadley, he was a member, the Northamptonshire police officer, if you remember, he wore the medals and he was disgraced. He said exactly what Sadiq Khan is parroting now. He said police officers don't have to declare they're members of the Freemasons. Well, these same Freemasons recently donated £2.5 million to Hackney Fire and Police from Hackney Freemasons, at the same time that a local councillor, Tom Dewey, was convicted of 1,500 images of kids being molested and raped, some of them babies, on his phone. Now, at the time, he lived with the mayor of Hackney, Philip Glanville. Now, Philip Glanville was his boyfriend, gay boyfriend. So Philip Glanville lived with him for around 9 years, and he didn't know nothing about all these images that they'd sat in bed and watched together. He knew nothing about them. So at the time, when the Hackney Fire and Police give 2.5 million to the Hackney Freemasons, give 2.5 million pounds to the Hackney Police, suddenly Tom Dewey comes to court and he gets a suspended sentence for all these images. His boyfriend Glanville disappears. He gets a slight interview, but he's off. Boom, he's gone, because £2.5 million is a donation that if you're going to get it coming in the future, you don't want to stop. So Glanville fucks off, basically, gone, gets married to another bloke to get the shit gone out the way, which is ridiculous. And I've got another story coming up, quite like it soon. But so he goes, and then old Tom Dewey, he worked with kids. He was a Hackney councillor, Labour, like Starmer. Starmer's a member of the Freemasons as well, by the way. He comes to come back to court, and he sees Dame Juliet, they call her Justice May. Obviously her old man or someone's a Mason, but Tom Dewey gets his restraining order taken away, and he's now working with kids, actualising his fantasies. But the Hackney Police and Fire, the most interesting thing is their donation contributed to the Hackney Police. They didn't object to having the restraining order removed. That's a bit strange. But people have been given their money in so gullibly. And they give this money to these Freemasons, and they so believe it's going to a charity to help children and help people that are disadvantaged. But it's being paid back to the government. And the fact is, the government have already taxed people on the money that they're giving them back, which is absolutely ironic. So what I'm saying now is that this dogma of a Freemason society having a doctrine that allows Muslims, Christians and Jews to join hands and get business together and forget about all the religious stuff because they fit the conditions. They believe in eternal life. Well, Stephen Fry's just joined it. Stephen Fry spent decades on YouTube with Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, swearing that he was an atheist. He didn't believe in atheism. And he said that God didn't exist. But he's joined an organisation that has to swear to an eternal creator, eternal life, and a all-powerful creator. And it just rings bells that he's another man that wants to join a little society to meet young boys. And they've got a long history of meeting young boys. Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, Gary Glitter, and believe it or not, Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper. They were all members of Lodge 616 at Rochdale, which is a lodge that Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, is trying to clear the stench from. Burnham's trying to clear the stench of Jimmy Savile and all those that destroyed that society. Years ago, Aleister Crowley, he was an occultist, and he joined that society because he thought like it was an occult society about measurements. It was about masonry. It was about measurements. It was about the cosmos. It was an interesting society to be in, but they shunned him. They got rid of him. He weren't a paedophile. But Jimmy Savile, you see, anyone that can bring big amounts of money, there's a lot of celebrities, they will take them on, whatever. And the society, you see, our mate Dewey, he was only a boy. He was young. He was a young lad. Obviously, he went there. Well, he got fancied. He got groomed there. But there's bigger fish in there, massive fish in there, that are in our legal system. Our legal system's being corrupted. There's police that don't have to declare that they're Freemasons. They're doing favours. There's judges. There's magistrates. They're all mixed up in this mixture. Many are paedophiles. Many are paedophiles like Savile, and they've been protected for decades. Now, public, we are stop the Cloak and Dagger Act in the Freemasons. We don't want secrecy. We want transparency. And we're on YouTube and we're on Facebook. And I'm Tony Gurney, and I will stand for what I believe. I'm here. There's many men gone anonymous. I won't go anonymous. I'd rather die or be murdered for what I believe, but I will continue with what I believe. Trust me, I will continue, and I will fight for justice. We need you, public. We need members. So get on to us. Stop the Cloak and Dagger secrecy. A call for transparency in the Freemason Society. You're being duped over by religious idealism that is dead, right? If you was a Buddhist, you wouldn't be allowed to go and flaunt it. You'd have to pray at home. If you're a pagan, you've got to pray at home. Christians are pushing it onto us through the legal system. It is illegal. Totally. Stop it.